Hey guys. Hey guys, welcome to today was kind of a rough day. Got called into work. Which is fine. I knew I had to go into work today. I'm generally off on Sundays, but they called us in. All the managers and assistant managers had like this big training and meeting. Whew. It was a rough day. I don't know if it's more exhausting pretending that you don't have an illness or dealing with the illness itself. Um, so I know that I've mentioned before that I have like this crazy illness, and that's really why I wanted to go live off of grid. So I have what's called POTS disease, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. I know it's a mouthful, and for me to even explain what that is, I mean that's a whole nother 3 hour video, honestly. The easiest, simplest way that I can describe it for myself. It's different for everybody, but for myself, I have the type of POTS disease that mirrors, like it looks like I'm having a seizure, but they're full body tremors. And these body tremors could last anywhere from a couple minutes to 3 hours. So can you just imagine your body just violently shaking and shaking and shaking and shaking for hours and hours and hours on end? Now, that wasn't my situation today. My situation today was the nausea, the brain fog. Um, Never a good thing doing a training, right? So, yeah, just felt extremely nauseated, felt just very weak, didn't feel like right in my head. I don't even know how to explain it. People that have this condition will definitely understand. Looking at me, I look absolutely fine, and nobody at my job really knows that I have this condition because I never ever want anybody to think that I can't perform my duties at work. Same thing when I was going through my radiation treatments for my cancer. My job never knew because I don't know. I don't know. I just guess I'm a closed book that way, and I really don't like that attention on me. So I just kind of push through and fake it till you make it. But yeah, so today was kind of a not kind of, today was a very rough day, and I don't know again what was more exhausting. Acting like, I was fine took more energy out of me as opposed to, I think, just being sick, to be honest with you. So today was a rough day. But I pushed through. I made it through the whole thing, so I'm very proud of myself for that. I think for me, again, and the same thing when I was going through, my cancer treatments, my doctors were telling me, yeah, we'll put you on disability. You can stay home. For me, in my mind, whether this makes sense or not, but for me, if I stay home, I get sicker. And it should be the opposite, right? The more you stay home, you can rest and recover. But in my mind, if I stay home, then I'm allowing myself to be sick. I kind of feed into being sick. And I know that just makes absolutely no sense. It makes perfect sense in my mind. As I speak it out loud, I'm like, well, that really doesn't make sense, Valerie. But there's an ant on my screen. What the heck? Where did that come from? Anyways, yeah, so I push myself every single solitary day. A normal person gets up, they brush their teeth, have their coffee, what have you. Um, I wake up at 4 o'clock every single morning. I don't get up out of bed until about 7 or 8 o'clock. That's how long it takes me to get in the swing of things. So let me just kind of describe my morning routine. Wake up about 4, maybe on a good day, 5 o'clock. I have a glass of water sitting on the side of my nightstand, sitting on the side of my bed. I drink a glass. I roll over on my back. Don't even sit up at this point. Grab my glass of water with a straw in it. I chug a glass of water because there's something within, like when you drink water, it excuse me, guys. My mind is not. I know what words I want to say. They're just not. I cannot articulate them. Anyways, there's something when you drink lots of water, it builds blood volume or something to that effect, or it makes your blood vessels contract, or I don't know, something. When I'm a little clearer, I'll be able to describe it better. Anyhow, so I know this video is like all over the place, but I told you they're raw, live, unedited. So I have a massive headache right now, and I'm so dizzy and so nauseous. So I drink that glass of water. Then I sit up in bed. I sit up in bed for about 20 to 30 minutes, maybe 45 minutes, depending on if the room is spinning beneath me. Then I put my legs up over the bed. I sit there for a little bit, and depends on, if I'm nauseous or not. If I'm not nauseous, then I stand up. I don't stand up away from my bed. I stand up next to my bed. So if I feel like I'm going to fall out, I could fall back onto the bed. Smart cookie, right? Figured this out over the years. Um, oh, sorry. So then I stand up. Depending on how I'm feeling, if I'm still dizzy or whatever, I'll try to drink another glass of water. I'll walk to the restroom, do my normal, like brush my teeth, this and that. If I stand up for long periods of time, that's when I get really super dizzy and nauseated. So then I'll have to go lay back down to kind of recalibrate my body, is how I call it. So I'll lay back down. I'll turn over a couple times. As I'm turning over, what the heck are these ants? Where are they coming from, and why are they crawling on me? Squirrel, sorry. So then I roll over in bed a few times. If I don't feel dizzy as I'm laying flat, usually people with POTS disease, when they sit up or they stand up, that's when they get like super, super dizzy. When I stand up, I get what's called gray outs. I don't black out, but everything in front of me is kind of like think of like somebody smoking a cigarette and they blow that smoke in your face, and it's kind of like grayish, kind of cloudy. So that's kind of like what I get when I stand up. So my blood pressure drops tremendously. My heart rate goes up. My resting heart rate is about 45 beats per minute. And that's what they call a runner's heart rate. Usually runners have a very low heart rate, just normally. So that's my normal heart rate. When I stand up, it jumps from that 45 beats per minute. Blood pressure drops. Heart rate jumps to about 160. Just that quick. Just that quick. So a lot of times when I'm talking, when I'm standing, it sounds like I just ran that marathon. I have to like catch my breath. I have to kind of slow down because my heart is just like racing. It's just racing, 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 racing. And it's the weirdest feeling because you could feel it just pounding. Kind of like when you run, you kind of feel that pounding in your chest. Well, I just feel that naturally as I stand up. And then I feel heart palpitations, which is you could feel your heartbeat missing a beat. So you kind of feel like a double beat, but it's like really hard in your chest, just like pounding in your chest. Pop, pop. And then you could kind of feel it like stop. You catch your breath. Anyways, it's just a whole thing. So anywho, squirrel, again, see, I'm all over the place. So after I do that, roll over a couple times in bed, then I do the whole process all over again. Sit on the side of the bed, get up and make sure that, I could stand up long enough to take a shower. If not, then I take a bath, which I don't mind. Who doesn't like to soak in a nice hot bath? So that's just a little bit of my day in life in living with this condition. They don't know why people. Well, honestly, when I got diagnosed, it took me 5 years to finally get some help. When I was pregnant with my last daughter, 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, I had a lot of heart palpitations. I would pass out for no reason. I would get super dizzy when I would stand up. The doctors, oh, this is just normal. That's part of pregnancy. Me having two kids prior, it wasn't normal for me. It might be normal for the next person, but it just wasn't normal for me. And it's amazing how doctors truly, truly, truly do not listen to you. Now, I'm not going to disregard doctors' profession. It's an amazing profession. They go to years and years of school, and I understand that the way that our healthcare system is set up, there's just no time for the doctors to take that investment in you. I get it. On the other side of that token, that's not my problem. You're my doctor. You're supposed to listen to me. You're supposed to listen to my symptoms. You're supposed to listen to what's going on with me instead of telling me this is normal for pregnancy. So I went through this through my whole pregnancy, and it just got worse and worse and worse. 5 months, 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. It was super super bad. I had to have an emergency C-section. Um, when my daughter was born, my heart rate was dropping. Her heart rate was dropping. I think this could have been preventative medicine from gate one when I was telling them I'm having all these issues. I'm having all these palpitations. I've had EKGs when I was pregnant. I was throwing lots of PVCs. Um, so, anyways, that's neither here nor there. Then after I had her, I have a lot of fibromyalgia symptoms. Not officially diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but I have a lot of fibromyalgia symptoms. I have a lot of IBS symptoms. I have symptoms of all these different conditions, but never labeled any of those conditions. I mean, I have quite a few diagnoses. We won't. Well, that's another video, another time. So for 5 years, 5 years, guys, 5 years of my life living in hell, hospitalized weeks at a time, weeks out of a time. Doctors had no idea what was wrong with me, had no idea why my heart rate is dropping, have no idea why my heart rate is jumping. They have no idea why my blood pressure, no clue at all. So again, 17 years ago, there was no information on Pott's disease. So what's the last thing the doctors do? It's in your head. Nothing wrong with you. It's in your head. Even though they have all these EKGs stating that my heart rate was off and this and that, it's all in your head. You're creating this. After I've had neurologists, I've had cardiologist, I've had my general practitioner, I'm a general doctor, just because I didn't fit into one mold. You have symptoms of this, this is what you have. But I had symptoms of this, that, and the other. So I was crazy. Now, mind you, at this point, I was working in the mental health field for about 12 to 13 years, I think, at that time. So I was even going to our psychologist and say, hey, look, what is going on? They've been there when I've had these seizure-like things. They've been there when I've passed out. And they told me, my hair is like driving me crazy. They've told me there's nothing wrong with you physically. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you mentally. It's physically, there's something wrong with you. So you have to be an advocate for yourself. That's the biggest takeaway that I can tell you guys. You have to be your biggest advocate. So I was finally telling my doctor, look, you have to do something. This is not normal. This is not right. This is not. And after a while, you begin to think that all these doctors are telling you the same thing. You begin to think that you are crazy, that you are creating this. And it's just so sad that these doctors, because you don't fit in one particular mold. There's so many different tests that they could have done. A very simple test is a tilt table test, which basically you're laying on a table and then they start to slowly stand you up. So you're strapped to this table. Again, you're laying down flat, and then it just slowly comes up, and they regulate your heart rate, they regulate your blood pressure. They see if you pass out or not. I've done all those on a tilt table test. All of those. I passed out, my heart rate went up, my blood pressure dropped, all of that. So that's a good tell to tell if you have POTS disease. Simple test, invasive, very simple. Strap you to the table and raise you up. For 5 years, I couldn't even get that until I got a wonderful, amazing cardiologist that specializes in rare conditions. So as soon as I went in there and told him my symptoms, he's like, Valerie, you have what we call POTS disease. Go home, Google it, look it up. I just sat in his office and just cried like a baby. I probably just freaked him out like this lady is crazy, right? Just cried and cried and cried to the point, you cry so hard, you're like, that type of thing. And he is like, what is wrong with you? And I said, for 5 years, I thought I was crazy. For 5 years, I got no help. For 5 years, I would just randomly pass out in public. For 5 years, I couldn't do this. I couldn't do that. It got to the point where I couldn't drive. It got to the point where I couldn't leave my house. I would drop weight just like that. Like, this is very, very heavy for me right now. I don't even worry about my weight anymore because in a month, I'll be 106 pounds, quite literally. That's how much my weight fluctuates. That's how weight, and again, as we all know, when you lose massive amounts of weight like that, it's stress on your heart as well. So anyway, so I finally got diagnosed. Thought that that was just the best thing ever. Not that I had the condition, but that I was finally diagnosed, because in my mind it meant that. Sorry, just making sure that no ants were in my. I had to eat a couple crackers because I was nauseous. Anyway, um, figured, okay, great, I got diagnosed. There's help for me. There's something that they can do. Unfortunately, there's not anything they can do for POTS disease other than put you on beta blockers, which they did to kind of regulate my heart. They did that. I am hyper. When I say hypersensitive to medication to the 20th degree, I am super hypersensitive to medication. Beta blockers would send me into episodes. Episodes, I mean body tremors. And then a pill that I take today, whether it's an aspirin, whether it's a pain medication, whether it's whatever, it affects me. Not only does it affect me right then and there, it affects me 3 days later. So hypersensitive to medication. So in my case, and I'm sure there is other cures, if you will, or aids that will help you medically, that just wasn't an option for me. So I've learned how to deal with it. I've learned how to deal with my symptoms. I've learned how to cope, if you will. So for me, just medication was just not an option. They did try. My cardiologist was absolutely amazing. Amazing. I think I lived with um, a heart monitor for about 6 months. They did all kinds of testing. It was the weirdest thing. So they did what's called a home study. I don't know what it's called. But basically, they put this cap on you. They have somebody come to the house. They put a cap on you with all these different electrodes coming out of this cap. They have a camera that's watching you sleep all night. You have all the leads from the heart monitor as well. And then you're hooked up to a blood pressure cuff. All of this is whoa. Whew. Well, guys, sorry. Ooh, I feel like I was gonna pass out. Um, whoa. I don't know if I can finish this video. Anyway, they have this camera on you. Anyway, so they do that for a couple days, and I guess all the results are sent electronically um, to an office, and they kind of analyze because they kind of want to see. They thought I was having they thought I was having seizures instead of having body tremors. So that's why all the electrodes were on my head because they wanted to figure out what part of my brain that seizure activity was happening. So I've been through the realm. So it was a blessing, and it was a blessing, and it was a curse, I guess, if you will. A, got diagnosed finally. B, no cure, nothing they can do for it. So I just have to. But I must say that I am extremely, and I can't stress that enough. I am extremely lucky to be able to still drive, to be able to still walk, to be able to still work. Work is very challenging, very challenging. Especially in my position, I'm a manager, well, assistant manager at a facility, and it gets a little bit challenging because I get brain fog. So it's definitely a challenge. I don't know how much longer I can do that, and that's why that push and that gravitational pull to go live off a grid. Anyways, what was I saying? I'm so sorry. I am all over the place right now. Um, yeah, I don't even know what I was talking about. See how crazy that is? That is absolutely insane. I was just rambling on and on. Um, Seizures, not having seizures, getting diagnosed. Um, don't know. Have absolutely no clue. What's so funny, not funny, but I have those moments when I'm driving. Like I'll be driving, then all of a sudden, and it's the scariest thing. I don't know if I'm Alzheimer's or what the deal is, but I'll be driving and I won't remember where I'm going. I know I'm not supposed to be going that direction that I'm going, but I won't remember like where I'm going. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Believe me, I know it doesn't make sense. So yeah, I have those moments. It doesn't happen often. Does not happen often at all. But I do have those moments where I'm driving. So I just keep driving straight because I know that's how I'm supposed to be going. Then all of a sudden it will click. Oh yeah, I'm going home or going to the grocery store. Or I'm going here or there, or whatever. So anywho, I call them brain farts. I don't know if there's a technical name for them, but just mid sentence, I'll forget what I'm talking about. And I'm sure we all have that, a little bit of that. Like you walk into a room and you forget why you're there. So just kind of imagine that more on a daily basis. And so at work, it's just I have to write down everything, memory. And there's days that I'm so sharp and that I impress myself. Boy, let me tell you. And there's other days I cannot remember a password. I can't remember a login information. I can't remember jack diddly. So the challenge is real. I actually look not that bad. I mean, I look like shit right now, but I actually don't look that bad. Usually, when I don't feel well, I look white as a ghost. I mean, no color in my face. I actually have some coloration in my face, so I'm not too worried. When I generally don't have color in my face, it's a hospital trip. They reset all my levels. Either I'm dehydrated, which I drink massive. That's one thing with P.O.T.S disease. You have to drink massive amounts of water. You have to take higher intake in salt, which I am not a salt. Um, salt person. I don't salt my food. I'll season my food, but I don't salt my food. A lot of times when I feel myself going into a crisis, I'll eat a top ramen, um, besides loving it. But they're super, super high in sodium. So I'll take salt in that way. But they literally want you to put salt in some water and drink salt water. Ugh. Um, so yeah, there's just little things that I have to learn how to live differently. And this video is like 25 minutes, and I am so sorry. I have just rambled on and on and on and on. I just wanted to kind of jump on here real quick, and today was a rough day. Today, the struggle bus was real, but I made it through. I pushed through. Nobody knew what was going on with me internally. And maybe further on down the line, I'll get into more of what the condition is, how it affects me, other than brain fog and all that good stuff. So, if I could push through a crappy day, anybody could push through a crappy day. I believe in each and every one of you. You can do it. That just means tomorrow you're going to wake up and it's going to be a better day. Good thing is, you could always come home, wash the day off of you, and start fresh tomorrow. Every day is a good day that you're allowed to wake up and have contact with your kids and tell them that you love them. So I feel very, very blessed for that. All right, guys, I've kind of held your ear for the longest time, just rambling about absolutely nothing. And this video probably makes absolutely no sense. But the good news is we're on day 4. Day 4 of getting closer to go off grid. Woo-hoo! So excited about that. So that keeps my spirits up. I am going to jump off of here and I'm going to lay my butt down because my head is just like, I kind of like to use the analogy of, when you go to the fair and that stupid ride that you kind of stand up against the wall and it just goes round and round and round and round and round. Well, that's how I feel. I feel like, I'm just going on this roller coaster. Whew. Even that little small move kind of really. Anywho, love you most. Mwah. You guys have an amazing night, and we will talk tomorrow. And I'm sure I'll have some exciting news. I'm waiting for some more stuff to come in the mail, and I will show that and share that with you as it comes in. All right, guys. Love you most.